or the last unit of standing up for yourself. Before we discuss the unit, let's begin the class with Brahmana. Brahmana. Standing up for yourself, the last unit or the fourth unit, and standing up for yourself by Yevgeny Yevtushenko. Before we discuss, let's just quickly memorize the third unit. In the third unit, the writer wrote a poem about red, and that became his first piece of journalism in verse. The poem reached the doorstep of everyone, every person in the street, and everybody went through it, they learned it, they felt quite excited and joyful. Here, the writer was able to pull out or create hatredness in the hearts and minds of the people of the street against red. So one fine day, or one morning, when the author was going to school, he happened to face red, and red mocked at him. He made fun of him of being a poet and writing poems. Getting angry, red, he just took out his knuckle duster and hit the author or the writer on the head. He knocked him out. The writer, Yevgeny, he fell down streaming with blood and he lost his senses. He became unconscious and he laid in the bed or sick bed, or he was hospitalized for several days. So one day, with his head bandaged, the writer went up to the street. He had not cured completely, and when he went to the street, he happened to see red again. But this time, he couldn't gather the courage to face red. He lost his courage and he ran away from the place. But as he ran away and he had become a coward, it was a cowardice act. He wasn't brave. He couldn't face the challenge. He couldn't face the stronger. He became afraid. He couldn't take it. He felt shameful. He felt shyful. And so he rolled on his bed. He bit the pillow. He crushed the pillow. He hit the pillow to show his anger on himself that he had become a coward. And he took an oath to himself. He promised to himself that he would take off fear. He would become fearless. He wouldn't fear red or the stronger anymore. He would take off fear from his heart and mind. Now let's come to Unit 4. I went into training with parallel bars and weights. I here refers to the writer Yevgeny Yevtushenko. So now, as he was determined to become stronger and to pull out fear from his heart and mind, he wanted to become stronger, and so he started his exercises with parallel bars. He took the training with parallel bars. What is parallel bars? Parallel bars refers to the bars that are basically used for gymnastic exercises. Okay, so he started training with parallel bars and weights. After every session, I would feel my muscles, they were getting bigger but slowly. So after every session, the writer felt that he was getting bigger, he was becoming stronger, but that was taking time. It was happening very slowly. Then I remembered something I had read in a book about a miraculous Japanese method of wrestling strong. Then he happened to recollect that he had read about a book, a Japanese book. And what was there in the book? That was actually, there were few methods of wrestling which would give advantage to win over the strong, for weak to win over the strong. I exchanged a week's ration card for a textbook on Jiu-Jitsu. So, I here refers to the author, writer Yevgeny Yevtushenko. And as he didn't have money, so he had to exchange a week's ration card for getting that textbook. And the name of the textbook was Jiu-Jitsu, a Japanese wrestling book where he would learn and he would get advantage to win over the strong. For 3 weeks, I stayed at home practicing with 2 other boys. So for 3 weeks completely, the author-writer stayed at home and he just alone, he did not practice. He practiced this wrestling method from the book Jiu-Jitsu along with his 2 other boys. Then I went out. Red was sitting on the lawn in our yard playing with his lieutenants. So finally, after practicing for 3 weeks with 2 other boys, one day the author, writer, he went out. And when he went out, he saw that Red was sitting in the lawn in the yard. And what was he doing? He was playing with it. It's a game of cards. So he was playing the game of cards along with his lieutenant. Lieutenants means followers or supporters. He was absorbed in the game. Absorbed here means getting involved. Red was completely involved in the game of cards that he was playing along with his followers. Fear was still deep in me, urging me to go back. Obviously, prior to this, he was being hit. He was being knocked out by Red with a knuckle duster. He had to take the pain of being on the sick bed, hospitalized for several days. He was streaming with blood. He had to bandage his head, and he took too many days to recover. He knew what the pain was and the pain that he had got. So obviously there was something that was urging him or pulling him to go back. But I went up to the players and kicked and scattered the cards. But this time he didn't give up. He means the author-writer did not give up. He gathered courage and he went forward without giving up or without losing. He went and kicked and scattered the cards. Red looked up, surprised at my impudence after my recent plight. Impudence means rudeness. Okay? Red looked up. Red was shocked with surprise. How could this fellow get so much of courage to come and fight with me, to chase me like this? Red was really shocked with surprise, seeing the rudeness, seeing the roughness of the author, writer. And that too after the recent plight. Recent plight here refers to the hit or the knockout or the hit on the head with a knuckle duster that Red had given or Red had punched the author or the writer. That refers to the recent plight. So Red was really shocked with surprise, seeing the rudeness of the author, writer. He got up slowly. Who got up? Red got up slowly. You looking for more? He asked benignly. Benignly means in a threatening manner. So Red, obviously, he was a goon. He was a bully, the villain of the street. He assumed himself as a ruler. How could he give it up so easily? So slowly he just got up and he asked the author-writer, you looking for more? What does the sentence mean? That do you want more? more? More of what? More of hit and punch that I had given you with the knuckle duster. Have you forgot that? Are you wanting more of that? He asked in a very threatening manner. As before, his hand dived into his pocket for the knuckle duster. As before, his hand. Whose hand? Red's hand. So Red, he was shocked with the rudeness that the author-writer had shown by kicking and scattering the cards, the courage that he had shown. So Red wouldn't give up so easily. He just got up and his hands dived into his pocket for the knuckle duster. Everybody knew that he carried a knuckle duster in his pocket. So hands went inside the pocket immediately to take out the knuckle duster. But I made a quick jabbing movement and Red, howling with pain, rolled on the ground. So what did he do? Now this time the author-writer did not accept defeat. He had learned that special advanced wrestling process from the book Jiu-Jitsu. So he knew now how to face the situation. And what did he do? I here refers to the author-writer Yevgeny Yevtushenko. So what did he do? He quickly, jabbing movement. Jabbing means poking roughly. You know, this is poking roughly. So he poked roughly and Red, howling with pain. Obviously, when you are poked very roughly, you get pain. Howling means screaming, okay, with pain. Red screamed with pain, rolled on the ground. So literally Red, he lay down on the ground, he rolled on the ground and he started screaming or howling with pain when the author-writer, he with quick movements or he made a jabbing movement or he poked roughly Red. Bewildered, he got up and came at me, swinging his head furiously from side to side like a maddened bull. Bewildered here means confused. Red was confused and he wouldn't very easily give up because he was a bully. So he got up and what did he do? He just came up, swinging his head. This is swinging the head, when you swing your head from one side to another side. And here Red's movement furiously means filled with anger. And Red was filled with anger because he couldn't accept that defeat so easily. He felt himself, he assumed himself as the ruler of the street. How could he accept the defeat? He got up and swinging his head with anger, he came from side to side like a maddened bull which has gone mad. So here Red is compared to a bull. When a bull gets mad, how the bull swings the head and comes with anger. Red was actually doing that now. I caught his wrist and squeezed slowly. I here refers to the author-writer. What did he do? He caught his wrist and squeeze means to press. And I had read in the book until the knuckle duster dropped from his limp fingers. Here limp can mean weak fingers. So now what happened? Immediately when swingingly Red proceeded in a very furious manner like a maddened bull towards the author-writer. What did the author-writer do? He caught his wrist. So author-writer caught the wrist of Red and squeezed it, pressed it, because he had learned that art now from the Japanese book, how to face the situation. So he did that, and when he squeezed it, what happened? The duster, the knuckle duster fell from the weak fingers. When it was squeezed, obviously there was no much power, strength in the fingers now, and so the duster fell from the weak fingers. Nursing his hand, trying to pat his own hand which was giving him pain, okay? This is called nursing, when you try to pat nurse your own hand. So he tried to nurse his hand. Red fell down again. So again Red fell down. He was sobbing and smearing the tears over his pock-marked face with grubby fist. Sobbing means crying aloud. Smearing means when you wipe your tears. Okay? So what happened after falling down? Red started crying aloud and he started wiping his tears. Crying aloud, shedding tears. He started wiping his tears with his grubby fist. Grubby fist means dirty hand, fist. Okay? That day Red ceased to be the monarch of our street. Cease means to come to an end. To come to an end. And monarch means a ruler who takes the power of a king is called a monarch. And so that day, finally, Red was defeated by the author-writer and that he thought he was the ruler of the street. His kingdom had come, his monarch, his rule had come to an end. It was over, it was finished. Red's rule was over and finished. And from that day on, I knew for certain that one need not fear the strong. And that day, the author-writer Yevgeny, he could understand that small little thing, that you need not fear the strong. You need to face every situation in life. You should not have fear. You should not be scared. You have to be fearless and you have to face the strong. All one needs is to know the way to beat them. For every strong man, there is a special jujitsu. So for tackling strong people, for everyone, there is a special recommended jujitsu or wrestling process. If you take it in the other light, what did the author-writer mean here? Yevgeny also meant that without giving up, when you have problems, when you face difficulties in life, there are various ways to come up. There are various, we need to think, we need to face, we need to hold courage to come out of that situation. We should not accept failure. We should be fearless. Think of that special advanced thing to face. So, there is a special jujitsu. What I also learned on this occasion was that to be a poet, he had also become a poet by the end, as he had written a poem on Red which was published, and that was mentioned or referred as his first piece of journalism in verse. So he had also become a poet. I had not only to write poems but known how to stand up for them. So here he says that being angry on Red as he couldn't face Red. In Unit 3, he had written a poem on Red, being angry on him to pull out his anger, okay? But now he really knew that just not to write, but to stand up to it, to fight for it, and to face the strong. So with this, we have ended up the chapter and Unit 4, standing up for yourself. Let's just quickly memorize what did we learn in this unit. When the author, writer Yevgeny wanted to pull out his fear, his cowardice act, and wanted to be strong, fearless, he started practicing or exercising with the parallel bars. And then he saw that it was really giving some twist, but very slowly. It was becoming strong, but very slowly. So he had read about the Japanese miraculous book Jujitsu, where he had the advanced process or the advanced system of wrestling. And he exchanged a week's ration card to buy the book. And he practiced staying at home along with 2 other boys. Finally, after 3 weeks, he graveyard, okay? And he was playing a game of cards along with his followers or his lieutenants or supporters, whatever you take them as. And seeing him, the author, writer, at the first sight he felt that should I proceed or go back. But then he held up his courage. He had learned now how to face. And he went forward, he kicked and scattered the cards. And seeing that rudeness, Red was shocked with surprise. And in a very threatening manner, Red asked him that, are you looking for more? I told you, what is that? Looking for more means, do you want more punches and hits? Have you forgot that one that you got with the knuckle duster? So he reminded and he is asking, do you want more? But this time, author was not ready to give up. And when Red wanted to immediately take off the knuckle duster from his pocket, the author, with a rough movement or very roughly, he caught his hand and with pain he rolled down. When again he got up, because Red wouldn't give up so easily, he assumed himself as the ruler, as the master of the street. And when he got up and again proceeded and wanted to do the same, the author, writer, squeezed or pressed his hand and the knuckle duster fell down from his weak or lifeless fingers, from his limp fingers. And he was now, Red started crying and shedding tears with pain. He also started wiping his own tears. Okay, smearing with tears. He started wiping his tears and with his dirty fist. And finally that day, what happened? The monarch or the rule of Red came to an end. It ceased. And the author, writer, Yevgeny Yevtushenko, he realized, what did he realize? That we need not be afraid of the strong. There's always a special way to deal every people in every situation in life if we relate it to our lives, There's always a way out. We shouldn't give up so easily. We need to hold our hearts. We need to think. We need to face. We need to acquire that courage to face the situation. With this, we have come to an end of the chapter, Standing Up for Yourself. Thank you.